So in this video, I'm going to show you another alternate to using course sites. It's called Udemy, udemy.com. And I chose this one because it's somewhat simple after you get started. It's got a very linear view, kind of like a one-track PowerPoint type of a view. Some people like it. The other cool thing is that once you create an account, they don't bombard you with any sort of advertising or emails unless you ask them to. And there are people who put courses on here and actually slap a price tag. And Udemy actually is like a storefront where they can sell the course for you. So if you look down here on the site, there's a whole bunch of courses private people put. 16, 20, 30. I've seen hundreds of dollars. There's actually a lot of free stuff out there as well. So if you build something really good and your team agrees, change it, take names off, and put it on Udemy. And the deal is, it doesn't cost you anything, but the deal is they take, I think it's 30% of it. I'm not suggesting you do that. I'm just saying, play around with it, see what happens. I would personally create my course in Course Sites, Blackboard. And then fine tune it, and then just take some time to convert that content. So you already have the content, don't you, right? Just move it over to Udemy, copy paste it from your storyboard, and see what the look and feel is. And you know what? A lot of people have tried it, and they say, it's not for me. It's not the essence of what I want my learner to experience. Some say, hey, this is cool. This is exactly what I need. And we'll look at another one as well, Adobe Captivate, in the next set of videos. So when you go to udemy.com, you obviously are going to sign up. And when you sign up, it's simple. You're just going to give them your first name, last name, your email address, and use your Seneca. Choose a password. And I wouldn't check this unless you want emails from them. And you click sign up. Now, I already have an account, so I'm going to go straight to login. And just to let you know, you might get an email once you sign up verifying that you've created the account. So make sure you do that email. Now, it is going to ask you to verify that you're a human. So I was already logged in. My email was already put in, but I'm going to put in my password, click login, and take a look. So first of all, there might be some sort of messages at the top. You can just check those out. A lot of this at the top is for the sales side. Of course, Udemy is a company, and you can ignore that. That's not your development side. Now, there's two courses I registered in. Other people's courses, they were free. One's bartending, one is helping writers. But what I need to do is go up to the top. And if you go to my courses, it'll just tell you the courses you're enrolled in. But if you go to instructor, it's going to show you all the courses that you are part of or you are developing. So take a look. I started. It's called Laughter 101. I haven't finished it. I'm way behind. I did one. Actually, these ones are from students from previous years who put me in as a administrator so I can mark them. I already showed these to you, a couple of the good ones in that earlier video I did showing you examples of good courses, so you can have a look at that. So I'm not going to manage, edit any of mine. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new course. Okay. Now you have to pay a lot of attention to the details because they're very picky about the amount of stuff you put on, the quality of what you put on in terms of the technical side. So let's go to course, click the continue button, and let's give your course a really good title. So if you recall, I already did a storyboard in PowerPoint about a Cessna 172 pre-flight check, and I've got all my words and things laid out, and I like to use these elements inside my Udemy course, and you'll see just how quickly you can move it all over. So let's call this Cessna aircraft pre-flight check. Now I'm going to leave the 172 out because I don't want to limit it to one type of aircraft, but that it's a working title. We can change it later. So let's click continue. And it's going to ask you for a category. So there's not really a good category here, but I'm going to put it maybe under lifestyle. Click continue. And it's asking you this question. I'm not really sure, but I think they give you some sort of help tips based on this. So I'm going to say 2 to 4 hours. Okay, so create the course, and voila. Now, before you get into putting in your content, I know you're itching to do that. There's a few things you have to go through the motions. Udemy is very particular about how things are laid out, how long they are, the quality of them. So take the time to answer a few of these questions, and you'll notice on the left side it's giving you a checklist. Okay, so we're gonna start with objectives. So it's asking you the first question: what will your students learn in the course? Now, in PowerPoint, I already have my objectives written. If you remember, I wrote a few. I'm going to pick 2 or 3 and just, let's see, highlight these and paste them inside here. Now, you could write from scratch as well, no problem. Now, I'm going to add a second one, so add an answer. I'm not sure why they call it an answer, but let's just do it. So I'll put the second one. And again, if you don't want to copy paste, just type them in from scratch, right? And let's do one more. I think 3's reasonable for this. I'll just do the last one, okay? So I've got 3 objectives, and the students will be able to see these, right? Any student who wants to take a course certainly needs a description up front. They certainly need some sort of idea of what will be accomplished at the end of the course. Now, second thing it's asking me, do you have any course prerequisites? Well, you might not. You might not. You might say something like you need to be able to drive a car. You need to know basic Excel. You need to know a certain language. Okay, so whatever is particular to your course, and I think you're doing a course outline anyways. In my case, I'm saying that you have to have basic knowledge of Cessna 172 or similar. Okay, so I'm not going to put them all. Let me just put that one. I think that should be sufficient. Put the bracket back. And that'll be a requirement. So next one is, who are your target students, your learners, okay? Who are they? Adults who have a passion for recreational flight and safety. Okay, so that's fine, right? I'm going to put adults because not everybody can get into that. And that's a search thing. If a parent is searching for courses for a child, this one's not going to show up, obviously, right? So we've typed these in, and you can go back and change them later. Don't worry. If you wanted to delete one of these, notice there's a delete button, and you can move them up and down as well if you wanted to in order. So on the top right, click Save, and be patient. There we go. Now we're going to go to course structure, and this one doesn't really make you do anything. It's giving you some tips and requirements for what the course is. You have to follow the requirements or the course will be rejected. Now let me pause there. If you choose to use Udemy and you don't want to fully publish the course, or it's taking forever for them to approve the publish, don't worry. For my assignment, you don't have to actually completely publish it. If your intention is to wipe it out, delete it after I mark it, what you have to do is give me your user ID password, and I will log in and have a look at the course myself, okay? So you have to have at least 5 lectures. Now, what's a lecture? You're about to see, all right? You need at least 5. And the total lectures have to add up to 30 minutes. Now, it says total video. You're soon going to see what the concept of a video is. There's all sorts of options of what you could do here, and all sorts of good content. So if you're putting garbage in there, I'm sure some artificial intelligence that Udemy has is going to check it and say, this doesn't make any sense, right? So just have a read here. Go to setup and test video. Again, same thing. It's just giving you pointers. There's nothing to do here. Read it. If you're having trouble with video, read some of this. It tells you that videos have to be at least 720p. I recommend 1080p. If you don't know what that is on a technical side, it's okay. Watch one of my tutorials on video making, or just ask me and I'll do a session for you, okay? So you can read these, and you could also do a little test video test, so to speak, if you wanted to. Now, let's go over here. So it says create your content, film and edit. Now when you go there, again, it's just giving you more pointers. There's nothing to do here. Now go to curriculum. This is where you start building, okay? So let me start. Look, this is what I meant by linear, one track. When the learner goes through this content, it literally goes forward, left or right, as it's almost like a PowerPoint slideshow if you want to look at it that way. But it's really nice. Some people just want to click next, click next, click next, and have content in front of them all in one place. Look and feel stays the same. Whereas in course sites, people can navigate all sorts of different places. You can have all sorts of different content. Now, the difference with Udemy is the quizzing. Quizzing is a little bit odd, okay? So you can have a section, and you can't change the word section, but you can have section 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And inside a section, you put things, all right? You can put a lecture. A lecture is simply a slide with content on it. You can put a quiz. You can put resources. Okay, so let's start. My first section, and I'm going to go back to my PowerPoint just to have a look how I'm laying this out. I've got one, two, three, about 9 sections that I want to cover. And inside each section will be lectures. So have a look. If my first section is aircraft documentation, then there's a little lecture notes, a second slide of lecture notes, and then a video. See, I've got 3 different elements inside a section. Then I move on to the next section, right? So the way you see sections and lectures is more of a grouping. So in a textbook, a section would be, well, a section, and inside a section would be many chapters. Okay, so let's start. Look, first I can change the title. So I'm going to call it Introduction to the Course, right? And you could put learning objectives. So in this section, when a person finishes, what will they accomplish? So I'm just going to use this one here. So you might want to rewrite your objectives, like group them together. So if you've got 3 or 4 objectives that fit into the section, kind of maybe write one big one, right? So I'm going to save the section. You see? Now there's nothing in it right now. So I'm going to add a lecture, and the first lecture is going to be called, we called it Aircraft Documentation, and we'll call it Introduction. And I'm going to stick to that theme. Okay, so let's save this. Now take a look. We've got it, but I want to add content inside this lecture. Now what would that content look like? Let's click the plus sign here next to content. I can add a video. I can add video and slide, or I can add an article. Now, article is probably the most common thing you'll do, and it's not really an article. It's really just text. All right? So let's start with that. I'm going to add an article. And look, it says right there, Lecture 1, Aircraft Documentation Introduction. What are the words I want to put? Let's go back. I already typed them up. And it'll be some sort of words, maybe an image. So let me just copy this. And I'll paste it in here. And you'll see how you can possibly format it, okay? So you want to check the spacing, obviously. Nothing's going to come up perfectly. You can do bold italics. There's not a heck of a lot you can do. You can put in links. So for example, if I wanted to put a link for Transport Canada, then because they regulate documentation, I could highlight this, bold it, click on the link, and then obviously you type in the address. I'm just going to copy and paste it, sorry, but I'm just going to do this, www.gc.ca.transport. I don't know if that exists, but that's okay. And that's what the text will look like. So it becomes a link. It's green. Now, you can add HTML. So for those of you that know hypertext markup language, web coding, you don't have to, okay? Don't worry. Don't panic. But if you found some good code, you wanted to add nice tables and things like that, you can always go to Edit HTML and insert things in there. And if you want to do a session on that, I could later on. But right now I won't, because you don't need to do it, okay? And I could also add a picture. So pictures are always a good idea. So let me just go to the top, click the picture button, image, and I'm going to select a file. It's in my aviation folder. So let's put a nice picture of documentation. There you go. So that's documents. And it looks like that. So you can always click on it, make it bigger or smaller. Now I wish you could put it side by side. You can't automatically, but you can if you use tables. And to use tables, you need to know HTML code. So there's a limitation there. Okay. The good thing is once you get the code for a table, you insert it in and then just copy paste. Okay. But right now we're going to leave it at this. So I'm going to save this. And I've got my first lecture. Now my second lecture, wait, hang on. For each lecture, you can add a description of the lecture. Now, I'm not going to do that because my lesson itself is a description, but you can add resources. So if you wanted people, as they're experiencing the introduction to aircraft documentation, download, so I'm going to click resources, download a file or something that already exists on your site, external resource like a website. You can always add these in, and there's this neat thing called source code. Now, that's more advanced. It's like if you went to a site and created a tool, some sort of a web tool, you can always copy paste source code in there. I'll do that next. So I'm not going to add anything just here. So I'll X that out. And there we go. If you're done with this, you can now hide it. Still there. And I'm going to add another section or another lecture. So I can add one above or below. Now you can move these around later. Don't worry, okay? So let's add one below. And this time, I'm going to add another lecture. I'll do a quiz last, okay? So I'll add a lecture. And we're going to call this Aircraft Documentation Demonstration. So this one will be the video demonstration. So add. And I'm going to add content. You see, I think you're getting the feel for it now. So in lecture 2, and you cannot change the word lecture, I'm sorry. Okay, so it's lecture 1, lecture 2. Click content, and this time I'm going to put in a video. All right? Now, here's the thing. Videos, it's not necessarily like a YouTube video per se, although it could be. This could be a recorded PowerPoint slide. So again, you're only doing one slide. Or you can do a lot of slides, but as long as you record PowerPoint, you know, the how fast it goes, the animations and your voice, your narration, if you save that as an MP4, that's a video file, you can stick it right in here. In fact, that's probably one of the easiest things to do. And if you don't know how to do that, there's a separate video down in this area on My Seneca that'll show you how to do that. You can also have a video like a Powtoon. Which I'll show you soon as well. You can have, let's say you recorded a screen, like you're showing people software or a site, and you can have a recording. Maybe you use Camtasia. So I'll show you a demonstration video of that as well. But in my case, I do have a video, and I'm going to click Select Video. And you remember I had recordings of the flight. So whatever it is for documenting aircraft for pre-flight check, the documents, it's right here. It's called Flight 1. I gave it a good name. So I have a professionally recorded video. Now you want to be very patient as the video uploads, and try not to make your videos too long. I think your audience, you know, outside of us where we're learning, my videos might be longer because you can pause. But in this case, you want to chunk them down. You know, 5, I think 10 minutes is about the max you want to go. 15 if it's really good. But there's my video. It's processing, so you just have to be patient. I usually just come back the next day. And you can always replace the video as well. So with this video, you can put a description of what it is, right? Or you can put resources. So again, description is inside my video itself. So I'm going to put a resource. Now guess what I'm going to put right underneath the video? I'm going to put the transcript, okay? That's an AOTA UID requirement. So I'm going to select File. Now I do have a transcript. It's called Session 1 Documentation Transcript. Click Open. And it will be available as a download below. So I can put a web link, a transcript, I could put a lot of things. The trick is, if you do it, be consistent about it, okay? So there we go. That's good. I'm going to just close this down, and I'm going to go back to aircraft documentation. I'm going to put one more resource. I'll put a external source, and it will be Transport Canada. Do you remember we put that link inside our lecture? Now I'm simply just going to put the link here, and that way you can see what it looks like, right? Add the link. You can put it in both places, no problem. So there we go. I've got a section, lecture 1, lecture 2, and this one's not actually an introduction to the course, so I'm going to change the title, and it'll be called Aircraft Documentation, right there. I want to show you this because I want to move things around. Now I'm going to add one more area here, and that's a quiz. So I'm going to click here. So be careful. This is above. This is below. And if you go way down here, that's a section below or a section above. Okay? So let's click here. And this time I'm going to put a quiz. Now don't do coding exercise. That's for a different type of course. I could put an assignment. That would be like if you download something and then the student has to attach their assignment, completed assignment. Like I might give you a checklist, ask you to fill it out, and then submit your filled out checklist with the signature, right? But I'm going to do a quiz. Now this is very weak, okay? So we're going to call this section or section 1 quiz, right? And I could put a description of the quiz if I want. I'm going to add the quiz. Now, right now it's just a title. I'll add questions. Now, unfortunately, I don't know if this is because it's a free version or not, and they used to have a lot more like true, false, multiple choice, fill in the blank. just about 3 or 4 types. They're only giving us one, and it's a multiple choice. And, I'll be honest, you can make this work, okay? So let's click it. The question is, who regulates aircraft flight log documentation? Okay, that's a question. And I'm going to say my first answer is Ontario government, Interpol, Transport Canada, and last one is, let's put FBI or RCMP here. Now, which is the right answer? Transport Canada. Okay, good. As simple as that. That's a question, set of questions. Now, I do have one more option for an answer. I don't want it. So you can always click the garbage can, or you can add more. Okay. Now, I'm going to delete that one. So if you really want to guide your students, right, what you can do is explain after each answer why it was right or wrong. So if somebody chose Ontario government, you could say that's wrong. Aviation is a federal jurisdiction matter. If it's right, like if you chose Transport Canada, you can say that's great. Transport Canada, absolutely. Now down here, what you can do is align this question with a related lecture. Now in our case, the question is related to the lecture it's attached to. But what if you had a big quiz at the end of the course? One big test. What you can do is say, okay, this question, the content can be found in which section? And you just go directly to that section or lecture, okay? So I'm going to save it, and you'll see it as a quiz right below here, okay? So pretty cool. That's it. If you can do that, you've got yourself a Udemy course. Almost. Now, I forgot. Section 1 is starting to teach the student about documentation. Now, hang on. What happened to that introduction stuff? Introducing you to the course, letting you know how to do the course, maybe some help elements. How about that? So I'm going to change section 1 to section 2. It's automatic. But I'm going to put a section above it. You see right there? And this one will be called Introduction to the Course. Got it? Learning objective will be this one. Okay, so I can change the other one later. And I'm going to add this section. Good? Now, what do I want to do? I want to add an element inside this section. What do I want to add? I want to add a lecture. Wait, go back. I'm going to close it. Remember your choices. Lecture, quiz, or assignment. I'm going to add a lecture. And this will be called Introduction. Same thing, Introduction to the Course. Or I could say Welcome. Maybe that's better. Oops. Let's do that again. Welcome to the course. Good. Let's add. Now, let's vision. Here's my lecture. Welcome to the course. It's not really a lecture, it's an introduction. How do I want to introduce people? Here, I'm going to try a couple of things, okay? First of all, I can put in an article. Let me try a couple things and then we'll decide what you want to do. I'm going to add an article and I'm simply going to have a picture, an image. Now, if you remember, I had a great image. Remember my PowerPoint slide? The first slide was my landing page. I can go to PowerPoint, click File, Save As, go to your folder, Save As Type, JPEG. See here? JPEG or PNG. And give it a good name. When you save, it's going to ask you which slide, all of them or just one. So if you're going to have pictures of each of your slides, not as PowerPoint, but an actual picture, do all slides and it'll call it slide 1, slide 2, slide 3, slide 4. So I've already done that. Take a look. I want to add this slide to it right there. You see the title? If I open, look, it looks like that. Okay, that'll be my intro. Welcome to the course. Now, there are no words on it, but it's a nice little landing area. We can preview it. Let's have a look as a student. So not bad, right? That's what it looks like. And this is how a student navigates. You go forward. You go backwards. There we go. It's not bad. So I'm just going to close this. So to get out of preview mode, you just click on the tab, close it, go back. Now, instead of the picture as the intro, which actually I'm going to leave, I can add a video. So what I'm going to do is just minimize this, add a second section, lecture, and we'll call this welcome. And again, same thing, welcome to the course. Nothing wrong with that. Add. Now take a look. Content. This time I'm going to add a video. Now here's what I've done. You know, I like Powtoon. There's a separate tutorial just for Powtoon. I created about a 20-second Powtoon introduction, which is quite catchy. I'm going to select the video, and it's right there. Okay, so that's the Powtoon Aviation. So if you are doing Powtoon and you want to convert it to a video, have a look at the tutorial on Camtasia. Okay, so let's open, and hopefully it'll accept it. Udemy is very picky about videos. So it is going to process, but now what will happen is people will see that main screen, then the Powtoon video, and then maybe I'll add a description about the course, right? So let's add a lecture, and I'll call, again, same thing, welcome, or how to succeed. Let's call it how to succeed in the course. Now I'm going to add it, content, article, which is text, and in here I'm going to say, in this course you have 9 sections with text and video content in each. You will have to do a quick quiz at the end of each section, and at the end of the course you will receive a certificate upon completion. Okay, so I think you get the idea. I would also put lines in here maybe, and I would say, well, if you need to download, for example, PDF reader, maybe Google Docs, or if you needed to go out and buy, let's say, maps, aviation maps, I could put a link here of where to get those maps. It's like that guidance, how to succeed. And this is also where I would put, let's say, the schedule. So you can put the schedule, week by week schedule of recommended content to cover, put that as a new lecture, call it course schedule, right? So I like this. I'm actually just going to stick an image in there. So nice little graphic, doesn't hurt. I'm going to save. And I've got a introduction that has 3 areas in it, and then it'll automatically take me to aircraft documentation, and then it will take me to the next section